I am live. It is a beautiful day out today for a cigar. And I was listening to Buena Vista Social Club, and then I realized, maybe I'll go live. I'll wait till there's some people here. 'Cause clearly there is not. Oh, my drink is in the way. Put it down here. Hello, hello, welcome. Let me see if I have this on. All right. Like I said, it's a beautiful day today. About 80 degrees. Right now I'm smoking the Diesel Unholy Cocktail. I've had this cigar like 15 years ago. The thing was so damn strong. Now I find them not very strong at all. In fact, they're like a medium. And we were talking about that the other day down at the cigar lounge because everyone's like, you got used to it. I'm like, nah, I think it has more to do with the Nicaraguan soils now been turned over so many times that the tobacco is a little bit milder because it's still not a strong cigar. We used to be really strong, but they're still good, but not as good as like say the Todos Los Dias from Dunbarton, which they discontinued. So don't go looking for them because I'm trying to find up all the old ones. I had a gig last night with Emily. That went really well. People really liked it. We tried a couple of new tunes. We did Chicago If You Leave Me Now, which we haven't done probably in a year or two. What else did we do? We did a couple of songs that we haven't done in such a long time. We've added. We're going to do a gig in 2 weeks, and we've added the Bad Company song "Silver, Blue, and Gold." I'm thinking about doing a lesson on that song, how to play it acoustically, because when I play it with this other guy, Danny, he does the first fret capo. I do the sixth fret capo. Or actually, you know what? We do it a half step lower. He does it without a capo, and I do fifth fret capo. But the two together sound really good. It sounds like somewhat like the piano and the guitar in the original version. It comes out really good. Anyways, it's funny. Saturday and Sunday, I'm usually very hungry earlier in the day, and I think I attribute it to in the morning, Monday through Friday, I have a bulletproof coffee, which is coffee with butter, and I add salt in it too. So I just ate some butter with salt, and I feel a hell of a lot better again. So now I won't eat till about 4 or 5 o'clock. I posted a thing today about if people want to join my Carnivore Nation on Facebook. It's just a way to see videos that I'm watching and doctors' videos for you to see what's going on with the food that they're selling in the states here. Well, almost everywhere now, but just there was a great study lately on linoleic acid, which is what seed oils are really high in, and just how it's poisoning everybody. And there was the thing, people think like, oh, if you drink dairy, milk, that's bad for you. You should drink oat milk. Oat milk, let's see, it's poison, and they add more poison to it. Where dairy is a natural product that people were having for millennia. Nobody was getting sick until now. Now they're like, oh, it's bad for you. Oh, okay. Fucking geniuses. I was going to teach a lesson today and post it on Monday, but I think I'm going to skip it till next week because I won't put out a video this week. I've just been doing too much, and I just don't feel like being stuck in the red room doing a lesson when it's beautiful out like this. And I'm contemplating whether I'm going to go run some errands or I'll wait till tomorrow. We'll see. We shall see. I have a gig tonight with Jimmy down in Plymouth, Mass. That's always a great gig. We have a lot of fun, a lot of laughs. Uh, the people that work there are fucking awesome. So it's really cool to hang with them, and they get in on the jokes and whatnot that we are somewhat saying into the mic and find it very funny. Um, a lot of people walk out of that place legless. If you ever thinking about giving up alcohol, all you got to do is go play a gig every night at the same bar, every one night a week, and watch people when they drink. You're gonna be like, oh yeah, this is not for me. It always just reinforces. I'm always like, yeah, these people are out there legless, just a mess. It's fucking hilarious. Somebody posted on my Facebook page today the 8 most iconic guitar solos. I think I agreed with about two of them. Stairway to Heaven, I think, is iconic. I think Comfortably Numb is iconic. They had like things like Surfing with the Alien. I'm sorry, I couldn't even sing that. I mean, I've heard that song a million times. I couldn't even sing the solo in my head. I can't even think of it. It's just, to me, that song is such a nothing. And there was a bunch of songs in there. Eruption. I mean, Eruption's cool. I don't know if I love it. I don't know if I figure it as like the most iconic thing. In fact, when I hear it on my in my mix when I'm at the gym, I'm like, oh, next. Just boring. I really like Drop Dead Legs because I feel like Eddie then was growing as a player and really trying to incorporate some of the stuff that, in my opinion, he probably learned from either listening or hanging with Alan Holdsworth, because there's a lot of Holdsworth type phrasing on Drop Dead Legs that I really dig. That stumbling up the stairs, playing, he's really just playing, he's doing it like in position play. And there's a whole slew of reasons why position play works. I mean, mostly because the way the guitar is tuned, that when you get to like the third and second string, you're hitting the out, well, especially the third, you're hitting out of the key and it sounds outside. And then by the time you get to the high E string, then you're back in, so you're like landing on your feet. And that has a nice sound. I know this, I can always tell a player when they play more position play than they are playing scale type playing, if you know what I mean. Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think it's just a desired technique that works. Eddie was a big proponent of it. I see it a lot when I see Chris Poland play. Plays a lot of position play, a lot of shape playing, but it works, and it's over, either trial and tribulation of the playing of the actual stuff to see what works, how it feels, where it works best. But you can definitely hear it in Drop Dead Legs. I love that. What's the song that goes do 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 do. There's another Van Halen one I like. To be tired at home. Oh, Hear About It Later solo. Great. Great. But I was shocked because like Mr. Crowley wasn't on the list, but One by Metallica is. Give me a fucking break. Crowley to me is iconic. It's a great solo. Even the version when you hear it live at the US Festival when Jakey Lee plays it and he adds his own flair to it, I think it's still great. Why am I hearing the mailman again? He just came by. Maybe he fucked up. I hear his truck. Anyway, so tonight should be pretty cool. People always ask, why don't you film it? Why don't you film it? It's a pain in the ass. That's why I don't film it. It's a pain in my ass. It makes my night from an easy, fun time I missed that. I'll see it when it pops up again. From an easy, fun time to a pain in my ass. And again, somewhat kind of like what I say about the DL show. I watch like some lawyers videos when they talk about like ongoing cases and just other videos where people go live in non-music stuff. And people are like constantly super chatting them or what tipping them. And for me, it's like, you know what, I spend a lot of time in the I spend a lot of time in that room for 2 hours on whatever night it is, like Wednesday night. So it's right after I finish teaching all afternoon. Hey, Adam, I'm filming, and it's I teach all afternoon, and then I'm like in that room for 2 more hours, and I don't mind it. It's just I don't love it, and it's like it just doesn't seem to. The lessons I do, but I do the lessons for me so I can go back and watch them. People are always like, oh, can you post the chords? Can you do this? Yeah, no, I can't. I don't want to, and I don't care. You're getting it for free, so watch it. If you don't want to watch it, don't watch it. That's all. But don't ask me, can you do this for me and do that for me? Yeah, no, I can't. I don't care. Now, I had a guy once ask me if I could tab out something. And he actually didn't ask me in the chat. He emailed me and asked me about the tab. And I went right back to him. I said, I'm not doing it for free. So he said, name your price. I told him $100. He sent it to me. I sent him the tab. I wrote it out for him. Wrote me back and said, thanks so much. Another guy once paid me money to write out the chords and shout out each chord. A chord chart on every chord in the song. So I did, because he paid me. But if it's someone just going to ask me, hey, can you do this? Oh, it's not the mail truck. It's just some guy whose muffler's fucked. Must be, maybe he's delivering shit for Google. Because he's stopping at different houses. But skipped a few. Anyway, so that's my thought on it. It's like, don't ask if you're in the chat, or you're in the comments. Here comes my sister to have lunch with my mother. Yeah. Yeah, we're both ready, yeah. Hey, John Taylor. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what I do for work, is I teach people all day. I teach and I do the lessons, writing out stuff for people, and then I do the videos. The lesson videos are for me. I can go back and learn the song. I mean, Jan asked me last week to do a song that I was like, you know what, I want to know how I would play that. Will I ever perform that song? I don't know. I brought it up to Jim, and Jim was like, maybe. He loves Michael McDonald, so it wouldn't be out of the question. But yeah. But with the amount of followers I have, I should have a little bit of support on the channel, I think. And if people don't want to support the channel, shit they may like will go away, because I just don't feel like doing it all the time. I mean, the show I do with Joe's here, and Krellbot, that's a lot of fun. We have fun doing it, and it's a good time. But is it a good time for me all the time? I don't think so. I don't know. I mean, I like what we've had with the show. I like what the show is, but it doesn't seem like anybody else does. And I'm not really here for my health, And YouTube tries to make it as uncomfortable as possible and as boring as possible, because, if, like, here, I'm smoking a cigar, so if I try to monetize this video, and let's say I have 1 million viewers on it, they're gonna limit they're going to limit the thing because I'm smoking a cigar, and YouTube wants to say that smoking a cigar is bad. But if I sat here drinking canola oil, which is poison to my body, way worse than this, that they have a problem. That they have no problem with. The world is upside down, folks. Completely upside down. Can I tell you? Ah, what else? Yeah, so I was thinking about doing a Steve Wariner lesson. There was also an R&B song I heard the other day, and I'm like, oh, I should teach this. But now I have no memory of what the hell it was, so I got to wait till it comes up in my playlist again, which isn't uncommon because Spotify will just constantly play a lot of the same songs over and over again, which sucks about Spotify. And then they say, and I do it for free, because otherwise they're like, oh, we can get rid of the commercials and this for that. I'm like, you know what? Fuck off. Like Pandora, I don't mind because they always say a price, $5 a month. All right. And Sirius sent me another email the other day. We want you back. Now it's $5 a month. They started at 7. I went to 6. Now this month they sent me a thing for 5. Um, has anyone? You do lessons? I do lessons over Zoom. Um, I do lessons over Zoom. I actually prefer. I use StreamYard. It's easy. When somebody wants a lesson, I send them the StreamYard link. Tell them the time. We both go into the lesson, and StreamYard works great. It works better than Zoom. So I like StreamYard. So I just send you the link, you know. And that's the thing. Like, I pay for StreamYard to do my DL show. And I don't see a return on it. It's like, well, I'm out of pocket on it. No one supports the channel. I watch the Y-Files. This guy's getting paid. And maybe he's got a much bigger channel, true. But, it's like I get no support on the channel, which sucks. And I'm not mad. I just, I just assume people watching my show are probably on disability. And that's why they watch my show, because I don't think a normal person can watch my show. Thank you. I'm kidding. But seriously, like, why the hell am I not getting nothing? Yeah. Anyways, whatever. I've had people message, like, comment on this thing. Oh, this guy sucks. He doesn't teach this. He doesn't do that. He, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Dude, then unsubscribe me. I don't care. What do you think this is? Like, I'm upset that if you unsubscribe me, I could give two fucks. Anytime somebody gives like a comment to me where I'm just like, this is just a troll, I just block them. I don't care. What are they going to do? Unsubscribe me? Unsubscribe me. I don't care. What do I give a shit? I'll tell you this. Losing sleep over watching my count drop 5, 10,000, I was something I would not lose. I wouldn't lose I'd put my head on my pillow and I'd fall asleep like a baby like I do every night. I don't care. I just don't give a shit. People watch, like, they see like pictures I post and whatnot. And they're like, oh, you're doing it to get attention. Oh, really? If I was doing it to get attention, I'd go back and delete every video I was when I was fat, which is 90% of my videos, because I wouldn't want you to see me when I was fat, because I would be so ego driven. But I don't care. I know I was fat. I'm in shape now. I learned a lot. And my whole point is that anybody can do it. Anybody can get fit. And hopefully you use it as inspiration. That's why I put the songs I post up there. Hopefully people walk away and they learn something. Not to sit there and say, oh, this guy's great. I could care less if you think I'm good or bad. I don't care. But if you walk away and you learn something from it, and it made you a happy person because you get to play a song for your family, or someone messaged me once and said, oh, I'm playing this at my wedding for my dad, blah, blah, blah. That's awesome. To me, that makes me happy. Somebody's saying, oh my God, your ear is great. I don't care. I don't care. Thank you, but I don't care. Or if somebody says any other comment, because I never seen anybody play, and anytime I hear somebody with a negative comment, and I do get the chance to see them play, it's almost like mind-boggling to me. I'm like, this person's not even a beginner, and they're commenting on the way I play. Like, give me a fucking break. I don't care. Like, it's just a name with a comment, and usually I just think it's a fucking corky. Somebody crying because there's a meat icon and they're a vegetarian or a vegan, and they're like, I don't want to have a meat icon in my phone. It's so disrespectful. Did anyone see that fucking TikTok or Instagram reel? People are fuck. It's a pathetic world we live in. And my response to them is they can all fuck off. I don't care. I just don't care. So if you learn something from it, if you see one of my pictures and you see that I was once fat, I mean, you go back to my June of 2021, I'm like 265 there. Oh, well, thank you. I'm glad you liked the lesson. Like I said, I just play the songs how I would want to play them and how I play them and how I hear them, because I like to make it sound like the record, especially when you go play in front of a lot of people. And I've been playing acoustic in front of people for a long time. I mean, I do electric and full bands, and that's a different game altogether, because when you're playing in a band, you're a part of the puzzle. You know what I mean? You're just one piece. And so you're playing parts to fill a giant picture. But when you're playing it an acoustic and you're playing for everybody, you want to make all those parts come together and sound like the picture in one instrument. And so that's all I'm trying to do. I mean, I've had people go, that's not what he's doing on the record. Yeah, no shit, that's not what he's doing on the record. He's playing a piece of the puzzle. I'm playing the entire puzzle. I'm making it sound like, so if the chord in the guitar is a fucking minor chord and somebody's playing an F sharp, well, that's, that would be a minor add 9. So I play that chord so you can hear that. When you hear it, when you see it acoustically, you're like, oh, that's how it goes. Like, that's the sound you want to hear. A lot of people sit there and just play cowboy chords or campfire chords when they play songs. And to me, that sounds like crap. So I wouldn't do that. Thanks, MF. Yeah, I mean, it's just, it's a lot of fucking nonsense and a lot of people with their feelings. Like, that that chord is not the chord that the guy's playing on the record. You're not teaching it right. Well, I'm teaching it how it sounds if you were to play it on an acoustic so you could understand the song. I'm not teaching parts of the puzzle. There are videos that I do that. And I've shown that on my Kid Charlemagne video, my Hotel California lesson on that lick, and I play the solo through and kind of just do it quickly so you can get it. And if I go too quick for you, then I'm too quick for you. Then you go to somebody else who teaches it in a slower pace that you like. If I'm too slow for you, then you go watch somebody who teaches it faster. But I teach it at the pace that I would learn it, and that's, you're either going to step up and become a better player or you're not. And either way, I'm not affected because I don't care. But yeah, you should see, like, I get a lot of, I get tons of negative comments. Well, I mean, most of the time, if it's a negative comment and I don't feel like it's a troll comment, but just somebody, I just hit like or love. I'm like, thumbs up, great douche. Thanks for being a douche. Like, who cares? Can you write out the chords? No. No, I cannot. In fact, I wrote them out. I already put the notation in the fucking lesson. So go back and watch it and pause it every time there's a chord and write it down. Simple. You might have to do the work. It might teach you something down the road. You might actually evolve into a better player.
0.0.
I forgot my volume was on. All right, let me get rid of that. I've been really getting into interesting finger style. I missed that. Hold on, here it comes back. Arrangements for acoustic popular songs. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a fun thing to do. That's like the Chet Atkins thing to do. Um, yeah, 0.0 is somebody on Facebook messaging me, and it looks like it's a girl I went to high school with, telling me she joined the carnivore group, but she doesn't eat meat. Well, good luck to you. If you don't eat meat, it ain't going to work for you. There's no way you can get the amount of fat you need to get in. And, the whole point of the carnivore group is to understand what meat does to your body and how good it is for you. Not to sit there and take the archaic fucking FDA and all these fucking heart association bullshit fucking paid for groups and follow what they say. If what they said was right, then from the beginning, when they started, how come people are getting unhealthier? If the guidelines were good, why is everyone getting unhealthier? Why is obesity at such a high? Type 2 diabetes, we're watching commercials with fucking Jardiance and, oh yeah, I say yes to Rybelsus. Oh, you're a fucking idiot. Now I can have pizza with my kid. Well, maybe if you stopped eating pizza altogether, you'd get your blood sugar in check. Stop eating garbage. It's like now I can eat garbage because I'm on a pill. Fucking idiots. Yeah, keep following them. Keep being a sheep. I can't believe this went out. No, absolutely, Joe. That's it. I mean, people don't realize how much better they're going to feel when they just start eating meat alone. Everything changes, especially your thinking changes because all of a sudden you get a clarity. You get the brain fog is completely gone. Even like when I wake up in the morning, I jump right out of bed. Some days I get 5 hours sleep, some days 7. Never more than like 7. Where I used to sleep 10 hours. I don't even need to sleep anymore. It's like your brain is awake, you wake up, you feel fantastic from the jump. Um, yeah, it's you feel great, and it's something that like I have a buddy of mine, and he's one of those guys that like when I used to bodybuild, he would call me out in LA and ask me questions and stuff and would do them and be like, oh, that worked, that fixed that did this. So when we talked recently about carnivore and I explained a few things, he was just like, I don't need to hear it. I'm just going to do it. And I thought he was kidding. Like, I thought he was just trying to, you know, say, like, all right, enough. So then he called me, and now he's down over 52 pounds. He's been on it like 6 weeks, 7 weeks. He says he's never felt better in his life. He's turned back the clock. He cannot believe how great he feels. And he's like, this is the way I'm going to eat for the rest of my life. I'm like, well, you get it. That's it. Once you get it, you get it. Because your brain starts thinking differently. You start to feel better. And when you start to feel better, and things that you thought you were part of getting older that are not part of getting older, it's just a part of toxicity in your body, of just hammering your body with these toxins. Once you realize that and you feel better, it's like, oh, I'm never going back to that. No way. So, for some reason, it's not scrolling up. Where about are you located? This is just south of Boston, just south of the city. In fact, most of the time when I do these lives, you'll hear airplanes going by me. They're going right to Logan Airport, and that's literally about 15 miles that way. Logan is about 15 miles. And Logan is located like right in East Boston, um, on the water. And technically, it's, yeah, I guess you would call it East Boston. It's right there, just north of East Boston. But yeah, 15 miles. Steve from Boston lives about maybe 8 miles that way. He's a little further from the city, but he's about 8 miles that way. Um, in fact, I think when he worked um, at a place um, called Norfolk County Music, that was owned by the Harris brothers, I believe I knew him then, or met him then. I've never met him. I've seen him at an AMP show once, but I've never talked to him. But I remember I bought a crate amplifier back in like, I want to say either 86 or 7, maybe even 88. I bought a crate G40C, and I believe he was there. Taken. But yeah, he's not far. Um, yeah, he also is friendly with guitar players that I know, including Krellbar. But he's friendly with guitar players that I know, but I don't know him. And like I know he had John Finn on his show. I know John. I've played with John many times. I think John's a great fucking player. A little too nerdy with the modes and stuff, but that's John. He's into the whole Berkeley thing, but he's a great player. And I saw John. John was fucking unbelievable in the late '80s when he played with his band, the John Finn Group. And yeah, I don't remember who was on bass, but Dave DeCenza was on drums. And that motherfucker, DeCenza was amazing, but John was, he was so on his game then. God, I think he still played those Ibanez guitars, that like SA series, that thin body. He was teaching out of a town called Hanson, Mass at that time, which I think he's somewhere on the South Shore. I just don't know where John is, but I see him every now and then. He plays all around here. There's another guy he's friendly with that goes on his show. I see he plays for this girl that tried to hire me. I wanted no part of it. I thought the band was terrible, and I was actually surprised he took the gig. But I guess times are hard if there's that fewer gigs out for people. But I get offered a lot to play with different people, and the first thing I say is send me a set list if they're doing covers, and I'll look at it and be like, I'm gonna pass. I guarantee it's 99.9% of the time I say I'll pass. It is not for me. Yeah, it's beautiful out today. Not a cloud in the sky. If you're into birds, this is a great little spot to sit because there's some crazy looking birds that come flying by. There's like the brightest red cardinal I've ever seen in my life that hangs out in a tree over here every now and then. I'm like, what the hell? Looks unbelievable. But anyway, last night gig was a cool gig. You know, that was fun. Easy peasy. I tuned one of the guitars to open G. Oh, I might be performing if Jim has listened to it today, which is 50-50. You could flip a coin. But I told him I tuned the guitar to open G. My alternate tune guitar, which is the Ovation. I usually keep it in open E. But I asked him if he wanted to do "Who's Behind the Door" by Zebra tonight. And he was like, "Oh, I'll give it a quick listen," because we used to do that in the full band, and that'd be a fun song to play. People would be like, well, "What the hell is this?" But whatever. And there was something else I played in open G. Oh, last night we did "Tumbling Dice" and "Happy." I watch this, I get these reels that come in on Instagram, and I watch this guy, and he's always like, "This is why Jimmy Page is great," and he shows the Rain song, and it's like one of the chords he shows is completely wrong in the proper tuning, but he's got the wrong chord, and so I'm like, I can't watch this guy anymore. It's like, how do you not know? That last chord is wrong. When he plays the bam, 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 that chord, he just played it without the tension in it. I was like, what? I'm trying to think because it's G, D, C, so that D, sorry, D, G, C, so that G. So there's like an E in that chord. He played it without it. He played it with the G, and it was just wrong. Anyways, I can do the Rain song sometime do a lesson on that. That's a fun one to play. The reason I don't is just because it's not like a tuning that you can use other songs in. So it's like, let's change the guitar tuning for this one song. I just don't know how many people would watch it. Hey, Ricky, what's happening? Anyways, yeah, it's funny when I listen to the R&B channel. That's when I hear like songs. I'm like, oh, this I could do a lesson on. There was a song, another Tower of Power song. You're still a young man. That was a cool song I was thinking about doing. But there was one in particular. Oh, I know what it was. Oh, and I just remembered the R&B song. It's "Bad Luck" by Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. Yeah. What first attracted you to carnivore? Okay, so what happened was I was dieting and I was doing like a just what I would call my usual meathead diet, which I've done for years, which is 6 meals, 5 to 6 meals a day, high protein, low fat. I wasn't losing any weight anymore. I got to the point where, like, I was, even if I was doing 2 hours of cardio a day, because cardio doesn't really make you lose weight, it's just good for fitness, but I wasn't losing any weight. And so I started watching a bunch of doctor videos, and I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting, that's interesting. And then one hit me, and it was a speech on seed oils. And so I started watching this woman, Nina Teicholz, talk about seed oils. And so I bought her book called The Big Fat Lie. And her book was fascinating. And there was a lot of studies in there. And she was talking about the studies and how people evaluated the studies. And it's really embarrassing of the people that we listen to and doctors because a lot of people will sit there and say, like, oh, red meat causes high cholesterol. And you can look at the Framingham study. So she does look at the Framingham study. And the study was that it increased by 1%, which isn't even in the margin of error. So it's like, well, is 1%, but the people that were eating the seed oils were higher in stroke and higher in cancer. And the Heart Association was like, well, that's not our worry. We want to know about cholesterol. So it's all fucking based on bullshit. So then I was like, all right, well, I got to start bumping up my fat. So I went to 2 meals a day and I went to oatmeal and eggs in the morning with blueberries and then a meal at night. And again, I still wasn't losing any weight, but I felt better, especially since I cut out seed oils and was eating high fat. And I did music for a film called Bigger, Stronger, Faster. It's a documentary that's on HBO. I did the music for it, and the director is a buddy of mine. And he was always a power lifter, but always wanting to get lean, never got lean. His brother would be lean, but he didn't get lean. And then I see a picture of him and his brother, and they're both shredded, shredded. And he was like, I'm on carnivore for a year. And I'm like, what the hell is this carnivore? So that's when I went down the rabbit hole and started looking at that diet. For me, I was like, you know what? I will do a 30-day trial of this diet. And my mind came to that around the end of October. So November 1st, I'm like, December 1st, I'm going to start it. I'll do the 30-day challenge in December. By November 4th, I was like, "Ooh, I got one more day. I'm out of blueberries today, so I can go get more, or I can just stop all of it and just start carnivore now." So I just started it, and instantly I was like, "Oh!" My weight went before December came. I was already down 20, 25 pounds. And without trying, just by stopping eating a few things. And, um, and every day I felt better. Like I was feeling healthier. To the point where I was still eating 2 meals a day. I was doing eggs for breakfast, and then I was doing eggs and bacon for breakfast, and I was doing a meal at night. When I say night, I mean like 5 o'clock. And then I watched somebody talking about OMAD, which is 1 meal a day, and how important fasting is for autophagy. And I was at the time taking thyroid medication, so I watched this female doctor, Elizabeth Bright, and she was talking about how you should be get off all your medicine and just take a drop of iodine every day. So I stopped taking all my meds. Well, at that point, that was the only med I was on. I stopped everything else. And I did that, and I was dropping weight like crazy. And at that point, I feel, whatever. I was there. Then in February, I got my blood work done. My blood work came back way better than it had been in the past. The only thing was my LDL cholesterol was a little high, but every doctor I watch says LDL is like really good, especially because it works with white blood cells to fight infection, and I never get sick. And then I added colostrum, which is a supplement that you find in like breast milk. And I started taking colostrum, and I got to tell you, I used to be very bad allergies. I couldn't even be near a dog or a cat. My eyes would puff out, everything would happen. So just to reiterate, I've been around a lot of dogs lately, and yesterday this girl brings her dog into the gym, and I was playing with the thing for a while, patting it, it was in my face, nothing. I pick up my mom from somewhere, and they gave her flowers for Mother's Day, flowers, nothing. So honestly, I felt like all my allergies are gone. I just take I take that supplement colostrum and just eat a meat and fat diet. And I eat way more fat than I do protein. People think it's all about high protein, and it's not. It's about high fat. Protein you're going to get. I probably get anywhere from 60 grams a day to 90 grams a day, which is really low for me, considering I used to eat about 150 to 200 a day. And between 90 and 100, no, between 60 and 90 now. But fat, I eat a ton of fat, and it's just the weight. Every day I just get leaner, but it's a healthy lean. I'm not skinny. I'm not like It's like it's great. So that's why I'm still on it. Why else I'll continue to do it. I'm missing all this stuff, Dave. I'm thinking of a song, Memory Motel. That's on my mind all day. Yeah, Memory Motel. That's on the Stones' Black and Blue album. Not a favorite of mine. In fact, I heard Hands of Fate the other day. That's an open G. I like that song a lot. I like a few songs on that album. Memory Motel. It's just I don't know. I don't love it, but the show. Results. Yeah, I mean, you could see how many people are getting healthier. I mean, I'm glad. Like I said, I do it because I want and post the pictures. I want people to see that they can change their life and change the way they feel. And if you look at back into the 1800s, cigar smoking and pipe smoking was huge, huge. But the number of cancer was so low, it was absurd. Cancer is super high. Well, why is cancer so high? Well, all the food you're eating contains so many chemicals that your body can't handle it. It's really all about what's called linoleic acid. And seed oils is high in linoleic acid. That's omega-6. And it poisons, your liver can't handle it, and your mitochondria cells can't handle it. And after a while, your body goes into insulin resistance. And with insulin resistance, everyone has a different reaction, how their body reacts. Some people will get fat. Some people will get type 2 diabetes, and they'll be thin. You won't even see them fat. Some people will still be thin, but they'll have clogged arteries. And all that stuff is caused from insulin resistance. All of that can also be reversed. Now, doctors will tell you that you can't reverse type 2 diabetes, and that's bullshit. And there's a doctor in Australia that has like 500 cases. They sued him. The state sued him. It took him 4 years, and he won. They were like, well, there's something to this because this guy has cured these people. So they're going to fight you the whole way. And so You know, it's one person. To me, I look at it like one person at a time. If one person wakes up, power to you, man. You get it. The public, they can all drop dead. I don't care. They can drop dead. You don't want to listen to me? You want to argue with me about it? Keep eating. Go to a vegan diet. That'll be good for you. Fucking just drill your body with oxalates, phytates, all that stuff. Just have at it. Good luck to you. I don't care. I don't care what other people do. I'm doing what I do, and if you follow it and it works for you, then awesome. You know, some people are happy with a vegan diet. They feel better. Stick with it. But I know what it's doing to you, and I don't care. Did you watch Fat Fiction? I did watch Fat Fiction. It's fantastic. Nina Teicholz, the girl I'm talking about, is in it. Lean meat, the people starving. Yeah, you shouldn't be eating lean meat. You should only eat fatty meat. One guy killed a moose over still losing weight. Oh, yeah. The life expectancy was not low in those days. The life expectancy was lower because you take out the average of the people under 5 years old who didn't live. That's really where the number comes from. It's you take the life expectancy because it's averaged out. And so that's misinformation. And I hate using that word, but it totally is. It's totally looking at the number how you want to see it. That people before 5 years old were dying a lot more, not adults dying with a lower life expectancy. That's not true. And you can watch Dr. Kanabi, who's a research doctor who does all that stuff, and he'll go through all the numbers with you and you can look at it yourself. But I love when people say that because it's not true. In fact, there's people that will say that 1,000 years ago, people were living a lot longer than we're living today. That had a lot to do with the air and everything else. But as far as saying life expectancy in the 1800s wasn't as high, it's wrong. It's because you're taking the average of the people that died at birth. Infant deaths were way high, way high. But, you know, you can believe what you want to believe and you can listen and do all that stuff. Or you could try the diet. I always say people try it for 30 days and see how you feel. You'll know the truth after you do the diet because you feel it. You're like, oh, like, not even a question. Not even a question. Just look at, when we're talking about life expectancy, look at people in the 30s to 50s who have heart issues. There wasn't one heart issue in the 1800s like that. The first heart attack with clogged arteries, not from genetic valve issues, but just people with clogged arteries. The first case in the United States is 1912, and I think it's the first case in the world is 1912. And also in the 1800s, people were dying a lot. The thing that was the number one killer was infections. So we fixed infections, but now we're keeping people, like we've dealt with that issue, but now we're killing them with food. And the whole food industry is what's killing people. That's absolutely false. Dr. Dr. Andrew Chaffee's been on carnivore for 23 years. You can't stay on it? Why? Because tell me one thing that's essential in a carbohydrate. We have essential fats, essential fatty acids, there's essential amino acids. Carbohydrates is not an essential. There's nothing essential in carbohydrates. So anyone that tells you you can't stay on that diet, I would challenge them that I'm never going off this diet. And I'll bet them. So however many years they want to wait, I'll take that bet. People say to me all the time, you're never going to eat pizza again? I could give a shit. I don't care. I'd rather feel like this than worry about eating a pizza again. Yes, essential to life. You need it to live. That's what essential is. That's why we have essential fatty acids and essential amino acids. Without them, you can't support life. There are no essential carbohydrates. You don't need them to live. That's what it means. I know what it means. Do you know what it means? Folks, there's a troll in the chat. Atkins died of a head injury because he slipped on ice. The whole thing about him having a heart attack and heart disease is full of shit. Go fucking do your research. You have no idea what you're talking about. No idea what you're talking about. Atkins slipped on ice and hit his head, and he died. He was in a coma for a week. Fat is not a chain of carbohydrates. Oh, I totally would feel like crap. Yeah, totally. Totally. Doesn't know what the hell she's talking about. If it's a girl, I can't see what the name is, but it's just. I love when people tell me about Atkins. They have no idea what they're talking about. He had that from a virus. That is from a virus. That is not from food. That was from a viral infection. Glad you did your research. You're a genius. And by the way, Atkins ate vegetables. He ate high amounts of vegetables. He was into a higher protein diet. Your facts are wrong. That's the fact. Your facts are wrong. They're not facts. You're wrong. His cardiopathy was from a virus. Oh, you met Atkins, so now you fucking know his medical. You were privy to his HIPAA. People are fucking so stupid. So dumb. Keep eating the way you eat. That's all I have to say to you. Keep eating what you eat. See, I'm not trying to convince anybody to do my diet. I'm just saying if you do it, you're going to feel better. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. But you come in here and you're full of shit. I don't have to prove you wrong. I already know the answer. Go look it up. I love when people say, prove me wrong. I don't have to prove you wrong. The facts are the facts. You're wrong. First of all, you came in here with the insinuation that he died. You were insinuating that he died from his diet. He did not die from his diet. He died because he slipped on ice and hit his head. So already you came out here with a lie. And now you're trying to back your way into it. Oh, well, he had cardiopathy. Oh, yeah, you know everything. Yeah, he had it from a virus. But the first thing you came out with was a lie. And so anything you say to me now, I don't care. Because I have to assume that everything you're going to say is full of shit. Because I called you out on your first thing. Anybody can look up how he died. And then you could sit there and say, oh, well, he had a big BMI. Oh, really? I had a big BMI. I lived for 5-10 years on that BMI. I never had a heart attack or died. Most people have a high BMI. I had a high BMI my whole life because I was a bodybuilder. And when you step on a scale at 5'8", you shouldn't weigh 205 pounds. Oh, you're an MD, PhD? Well, then when you were taught by shitheads, like you think the schooling system has anything to do. Anyone could look at a study, anyone could read research. Apparently, you don't have a critical mind and you're brainwashed. And that's fine. I don't care. And anytime somebody tries to come at me with a place of authority, I'm an MD. Oh, I'm a musician. So that means I'm going to tell you everything you do is fucking wrong. Fuck off. You don't know how to read a fucking chart. Oh, the Framingham study. Oh, you don't. Go look at it. Anybody in the chat that's listening to this idiot, yeah, please block from the channel. I just don't want to deal with an idiot. Framingham study was 1961. So does that make the study not legitimate? It's like one of the last good studies. First of all, I love this because the FDA and everyone, the Heart Association, they used the Framingham study for the longest time until it became public what the Framingham study said. And then they had to backtrack. And now they say, oh, well, it was from 1961. You've been quoting it for fucking the last 10, 20 years until it became public. And then all of a sudden, now you don't want to fucking use it because people can see you are full of shit using a study that didn't fucking back up what you said, but you told everybody it did. Fuck off. That's all I have to say. Get rid of that fucking person. You know what? I bet you it's the same asshole that tried to fucking email me about this too. It's just an idiot. Do whatever diet you want to do and poison yourself sick. I don't care. I honestly don't care. You could drop dead. I wouldn't give two shits. But when you come in and you say Atkins died of a heart attack or he died because of his diet, I already know you're a liar. I already know you're fucking full of shit and you don't know what you're talking about. And then to sit there and say you're a doctor, well, you're a fucking horrible doctor. You're a moron. And trust me, you're not alone. But you are a moron. Yeah. Yeah, just a fucking pathetic loser. I can't deal with it. I don't care. Like, that's the whole point. But I won't sit there and say that this vegan died because of this or that when they clearly fucking hit their head. But they always want to do it because they want to send you the message that that diet's not good. He died from his diet. Oh, really? Because the fact is he slipped on ice, hit his head, and was in a coma and then died at 72 years old. Or 70 something. I think it was 72. That I could be wrong. Don't quote me. But he was in his 70s. And I don't agree with everything Atkins said, but I think he was more right than he was wrong. He's way more right. It's real simple. You can just look at the diet of the American people and see where obesity has risen from 1906 to today, and see how diabetes has increased from 1906 to today, and tell me that doctors are people you should listen to. I'm an MD with a PhD. You're a fucking idiot. There's no question about that. Any asshole can go to fucking school and get a degree. When you're being taught by fucking idiots, you're an idiot. Tufts just released that Kellogg's Corn Flakes or Frosted Flakes are healthier for you than a steak. Well, if Tufts is saying that, let me tell you, if you graduated from Tufts, you're an idiot, because that school is run by idiots. What it takes is a critical mind, somebody to see the facts and be like, oh, wait a second, something isn't adding up. It's the same thing with the fucking climate change idiots. The planet's heating up. Oh, yeah, it's been heating up. We're in a post-ice age. Yeah, the planet heats up. That's what it does. Eventually, it's going to cool back down. That's what it does. That's what it always does. But they even had the scientific data from when the pandemic happened, and the amount of emissions was way, way less those 2 years, and the CO2 still went up. Those numbers went way down because everyone was in their house. Nobody was fucking emitting anything. It was a lockdown, and yet the earth was still warming and wasn't changing. Well, how is that possible? If something goes down, then everything else should show that it goes down, but it didn't show that. And if you got a critical mind, you can see that and put the puzzle together. If you don't have a critical mind, you're going to walk around like the sheep, spewing the bullshit. No, it's science. Well, how come your science hasn't added up? How come nothing has come true? Every model you've done has been wrong. Why has every model been wrong? Because it's not science. Now you've got Fauci saying, I never told people we should lock down. Then there was somebody posted the clip of him right next to it saying, I requested we lock everything down. Let me tell you, people are waking up. People are waking up, and they'll wake up about food. Especially since the schools are teaching idiots like this how to fucking think. And then the people who are critical thinkers who actually go out and try the diet, and they're like, oh my God, my life is better. Everything feels better. I feel more alert. My My numbers at the doctor got better. So it's like the proof is there. The sports. Yeah. Well, there's just, like I said, you can walk around and believe what they spew to you, or you can have a critical mind and fucking do the work and figure it out. It's that easy. You know, when someone says prove me wrong, when the facts are the facts, and then they claim that they have the facts, I always say, I'm not going to change your mind. I don't care if I change your mind. But don't come on my show to my audience and start spewing your fucking bullshit because you're an idiot. And I'll call you a fucking idiot every time. Meanwhile, that person is probably about 300 pounds and probably one of the most unhealthy looking people you'll see. But it's easy to hide behind a name. I'm out here showing you how I look, how I used to look, you can see. You can see it all. I got nothing to hide. But anyone that comments in the comments and they just a troll and they got something to hide because they're just fucking weak. Go start your own channel, your doctor and MD, and go spew your fucking nonsense. I'm a I'm an MD with a PhD, but I spend my Saturday afternoons listening to a guy smoking cigars, talking music and food on YouTube. Oh my God, you fucking pathetic loser. And then I go and I troll him and I lie about fucking Atkins to the lie that everybody told about him. Yeah. Well, that's why, I mean, their sales will go down. Nobody cares. And the reason why they don't want you to fat shame is because they're making everybody fat. They're making everybody sick. It's much easier for me to say, if I'm a pharmaceutical company in the back pocket of the government, and I'm like, you guys don't fat shame them. Let's just get their numbers good with chemicals. We will give them pills. We'll sell them food that poisons them, and then we'll give them the antidote in pills. But it's not really an antidote, it's a band-aid. Also, I also want to say, and if that's the same person that was messaging me before, he's like, oh, somebody in your diet always wants to sell something. I'm against all processed foods. So when I see people on Facebook and Instagram and they're like, come on, folks, I'm personal training and I'm going to get you to use these Thrive products or whatever brand product that they're selling. To me, that's like, oh, this is better than coffee. No, it ain't. It's not. Coffee's natural. What you're selling is some fucking processed food. It's garbage. And you have an agenda to sell a product. I have no agenda to sell products. When I tell you to eat carnivore, I'm telling you eat fat and protein, fat and red meat. That's it. I don't have a company that sells red meat. I'm not making any money off it. I'm telling you what to do. Don't buy processed foods. Don't believe in the vitamin industry. Because when you look in the vitamin industry, I looked at vitamin E the other day and the thing's just sitting in seed oil. Don't buy it. It's poison. It's all poison. I got nothing to sell you. Well, other than my own merch for my channel, but that's supporting my channel. As far as the diet, I don't want you to do anything. You don't have to buy anything from me. There's nothing I can sell you that's going to help you with your health. It's all fresh, unprocessed foods. You should be eating a high vegetable diet. Poison. Bullshit. Bullshit. And if that is the same person, they went and changed their name so they could come to the chat because I blocked them already under the other name. What a sad, pathetic person. You have to change your name to go watch a channel because you're such a fucking tool to begin with. Go fucking to somewhere where they like you. You know what I mean? I'm going to change my name and then go in this room again. I'm going to badmouth Dave all I can, but I can't stop watching him because I have no fucking life. I don't care. You're pathetic. I look at it as like pathetic. If I've ever blocked you from my channel, you're a fucking troll or a douche, and you're watching my shows, buy a mirror. Buy a mirror. Check your behavior. Check out who you are. And then figure yourself out. Figure your life out. But if you're coming in changing your name so you can go into a room that you can't talk in usually, you are pathetic. You are sad. I feel bad for you. You are fucking pathetic. I'm a doctor and an MD, but I changed my name so I can go on YouTube and troll people and tell them bullshit lies and then say, prove me wrong. Prove you're wrong. I'll prove you're wrong. You're 400 fucking pounds. You look like shit. Your fucking stomach is hanging over your belt. You got a fucking 48 waist. You do nothing to fucking better your life. And you waste your time on the internet fucking being a troll. You ought to be proud of yourself. Anyways, if carnivore is something you want to do, I would do it. I did it. And I always say to people, try it for 30 days. See how you feel. What's 30 days? Give it 30 days, see how you feel. If you want to go another 30, go another 30. If you end up doing 90, do 90. I started doing it for 30 days. I then went to 60, and then I said, forget it. I'm doing this for life. By the way, just in case you're wondering, I'm smoking a Southern Draw Cedrus. Now, I'm not a big fan of the brand Southern Draw. I've had several cigars of theirs I do not care for. The Cedrus is excellent. It's an excellent cigar. So, brands really don't matter. This, to me, is the Stratocaster of Southern Draw. Whereas the Jacob's Ladder I did not care for. That's like the Jazz Master with the strings too high off the neck. And I urge everyone, watch Chris Knobbe. It's Knobbe. He does a video called Seed Oils, the Excesses of Modern Civilization, something like that. It's a great video. The guy's a brilliant mind. He's not a carnivore. He's just basically telling you the dangers of seed oils, sugar, and processed flour. And he really thinks that sugar and processed flour, even though they're bad, they're not terrible the way seed oils are. And it's a really interesting study that he does. And he's a brilliant guy. And again, you can watch it and make up your own mind if you like him or you don't like him. But he won't sit there and tell you things like, that guy died because of his diet. Well, no, he died because he slipped on the ice. But he had this in his heart. Oh, my God. That's unbelievable. The level of stupidity of people is just, it's so fucking unbelievable. It's mind blowing. Fat Fiction, by the way, is a fantastic movie to watch on YouTube. If you guys haven't had a chance to watch Fat Fiction, watch it. It's fucking brilliant. Ah. What else? Any questions for me? Has this been on? Oh, sorry, Joe. I just saw that. Now that's funny. I mean, clearly, I mean, like I said, you can go watch any of my old videos from around June of 2021, May of 2021. I was a porker. I was fat. It's there for you to see. How did I start playing guitar? I grew up, I started on piano, and in 1980, we had a guy come to the house and gave me a few lessons, and I really didn't care about playing guitar. I just wanted to learn how to play Black Diamond by Kiss. I was a Kiss fanatic. Um, I learned how to play Black Diamond, so I learned the A minor, the F major seven, and I didn't stick with it. That was like 4 months, and then I stopped. And that was 1980. And then officially, when I feel like I started the instrument, was I was in seventh grade. It was the end of the year, so we're talking about the like May or June, probably May of 1981. And this kid I knew, who's now a firefighter in this town, he brought in um, Jethro Tull, the best of, and Zeppelin 2. And I listened to Zeppelin 2 outside during one of the classes. We had an outdoor, like a recess, not a recess, but like a study that we used to go outside for. And he brought his radio and he played Zeppelin 2. And I became a Zepp head. I was like, what the fuck have I been missing? And at this point, I was already done with Kiss. Unmasked was out. And when Unmasked came out, I listened to them for maybe like a few months and then I was done with Kiss. So when I got turned on to Zeppelin, I was like, whoa. So then I started buying everything. Every time I had money to get a record, I would go and buy a Zeppelin album. And at the time, I was already listening to AC/DC. I was big into the Doors then. And Billy Squires' record came out, Don't Say No, I loved. And I went to a pizza place in Cobb's Corner, which is a part of town. And I ran into one of my best friend's older brothers, and he had drumsticks in his hand. And I said, what are you doing? He goes, I just started taking drum lessons. I'm going to play drums. I'm like, if I take guitar, can we start a band? He's like, yeah. So I said to my mother, I want to go to that place and take guitar lessons. And so I did. And it was like December of 81, I think was my first lesson. And I took for 9 months with this guy. Still friendly with him. He's a great guy. I'm friends with him on Facebook. But I took guitar lessons from him in 81 to 82. I stopped around the summertime because I was very friendly with a guy from the town next over from me. And this guy was teaching himself, and and his ear was way better than mine. And I said, how do you pick out that chord? He goes, well, I don't have anyone to teach me, so I'm forced to listen and be more critical. So I quit lessons, and I decided I was going to bury myself in developing my ear. And that was mid 82. By 83, I got an electric and started playing more lead stuff. And in '83, I got that Aria Pro 2. But that was basically it. I took off from there as soon as I had that kind of competition with me, because he was a close friend of mine, and he lives in Seattle now, still a really good friend of mine. We argue about everything. We've always argued about Kiss back in the day. I went to day camp with him when I was really young, and we always remained great friends. And so that kind of drove me, and we would play together all the time. And he would comment. He's like, "Wow, you've gotten all." He would always comment on my improvement. He was the only person I cared about who had anything to say about the way I played, because I really, really trusted his ear, and his bends were great. I mean, everything about this guy's playing was great, and so that was it for me. So then over time, I've developed an ear, and then uh, I thought by the time I think I was a junior in high school, like 85, 84, I wanted to study piano again because I figured it would help with my guitar playing. And so I then took piano lessons again, and that really, really helped, because once I could understand the chords and all the changes, then I would see things differently. Like, and I talk about this on my channel, if somebody's playing a G major 7 chord, a lot of people say, okay, I'm in G major. And so they play to G major. But when I think of it on a piano, I think of it as a B minor over G. So when I think of that chord as a B minor over G, I'm more interested in playing the B minor, because the G is the 1. The 1's too easy. Like, I can always figure out where the 1 is. But the B minor chord, you got the 3rd, you got the 5, and then you got the major 7. So then I could add extensions to that B minor chord. I can play the A, and that's going to make the 9. But on the B minor, it's a minor 7. So when you add all these elements in and you think about it the way I see it on a piano, that's why I know all these chords and how I look at them and play them. So I don't really think of stuff. I think of all the notes in the chords now, but that's just developed over time. But when I first did it, I was always thinking about it as if a chord had extensions, what's the underlying chord in there that's not the obvious chord? So like if you take a C major 7, that's an E minor over a C. So I could play E minor over a C major 7 and the E minor scale. And then you're hitting that F sharp, you're hitting the sharp 11 gets in there, which is nice. Way better than the natural 11, because the natural 11 over a C major 7 sounds like shit. So if actually you're playing a C major 7 chord and you're soloing over it, that F natural is going to be dissonant, but the F sharp is not. So it actually kind of works better for you to think of it as an E minor over C, because then you're thinking in that relative minor, which is you're treating it like it's a 4 chord. And that's a jazz trick too, is to always, over a major 7 chord, play the sharp 11. Don't play the natural 11. It just sounds not good. So that's really why how my guitar playing developed into understanding music the way I understand it, was the combination of playing guitar and then going back to piano lessons, which was my first instrument. Well, my second instrument. I played trumpet when I was a little kid. 4th and 5th grade, I played trumpet. I'm missing a lot of this. Hey, Donald. Yeah. But anyway, so that's a really good technique to play over chords, And I do that in lessons with my students. In fact, we just did it this week, where we were playing, over chords with extensions, like a G major 9 chord, how to play over the G major 9, what are the triads in there, what are the, because in a G major 9, you have a D triad right in there. You also have the B minor, but it's nice to play that D major feel over the G. It outlines the chord nice, and you can just play that over a natural G anyways and imply the G major 9 by just playing it over the G. And that was something when I was a kid. Also, I bought different lessons like Starlicks, and there was a Larry Carlton Starlicks. And Larry Carlton had a thing where he played over vamps over one chord, and he would make you hear it differently by what scale he was playing. So he would play like the D minor blues scale, with a flat 5 added in there over this D minor. But when he got to beat 4, he would change it and play either a C sharp minor blues scale, because then he was implying that he was playing over an A7 chord, or he would play an A major 7 arpeggio. Or then you could also play a B flat melodic minor scale, which would then imply the A altered scale. But it involves making you hear, because of what the lead is playing, it's making you hear the vamp differently. And it's leading to make that the one comes back and feels a resolution. And that really opened my eyes to a lot of things. And also, Larry was like really into talking about his bends. He was talking about how he was a country player. So I was fascinated by that aspect of it, and I went to listen to a lot of country. And that's where I probably got really good at bending in pitch, where I hear people that don't bend in pitch, and it bugs me, because it's something, if you spend just a little bit of time with it, you'll never not do. You'll always bend in pitch. You know, I mean, I've done sessions where I go in and I play, and I'll just stop and be like, I overshot that note. I got to go back. You know, knowing that is fantastic, you know, because that's, you know, knowing when you overshot, and I'm talking about my minutia, but just like a couple of cents sharp, and I'm like, no. So, you know, that helps. But all my theory lessons, all the lessons I do on theory, I put up there so people can understand it the way I look at it, because I don't really like the way they teach music in traditional, the way they teach music. You know, it makes it a lot more difficult to understand. I mean, when you read music, you see the world as a little bit different, you know, because if you read music and you see something in D minor Dorian, which would be the key of C, you're going to just see it written as the key of C. So then why go learn all the things of like, well, if I start on the D, I'm in Dorian. Well, yeah, but if you start on the D, you're still in the key of C. Just because you chose the D as your starting note for the melody, that doesn't matter. And just because the first chord in the song is a D minor, that doesn't matter. The song is in the key of C. So, you know, that's why, look, a lot of, if you ever talk to classical musicians, they don't know modes. That's not something they're interested in, because it doesn't mean anything. It's not on the page. It doesn't come across, you know. And a lot of times, even in the jazz guys, if you look at jazz guys, like when they go to play the melodic minor, sometimes they don't play the melodic minor. Sometimes they're just playing the minor. That's where they're even getting even some more blue notes. Like, so if you're hearing an A7 chord, you know, a lot of these sax guys from the 50s and 60s, they're just playing a B flat pentatonic or B flat arpeggio, because they're just looking at it, a B flat minor arpeggio, because they're looking at it from the minor, you know. And it's just interesting, because once you understand that and you get comfortable with it, you're then not trying to make the altered scale sound like something, you know, because when people learn the altered scale, they learn the licks in the altered scale, but they don't really learn how to move around in it much. Like, it just becomes like, it becomes very linear, like just the scale. You know the altered scale, but they're not understanding the arpeggios in it, or the. But if you think about it as a melodic minor, it becomes, first of all, a lot easier, because then you're just dealing with a major with a flat third. So it becomes really simple and just clear, you know. And then the more you get used to playing it, the more you used to get hearing it, then the more you're used to doing what you do with it, you know, or not do with it. You know, there's something to it if you want to learn how to play outside the box, but there's other ways to do it as well. And I'll tell you, there's Herbie Hancock has some great videos where he discusses music theory and how he plays and looks at stuff. And to me, that's far more important than learning the altered scale and trying to figure out how to make the altered scale work. It's just a much simpler view and musical view, because everyone can play pentatonic and understand how to move in pentatonic. And, you know, if you're playing pentatonic that's out, it's really interesting to see how a guy like Herbie Hancock does it, because when he plays it on piano and does it, you're like, are you kidding me? That's all he's doing? But musically, it sounds beautiful. And it's just another tool in your belt and another language to speak, you know? I'm sorry if I missed anything. When I go to talk, I don't really get it. I was first in country. I wish I could make that stick up, but it doesn't. Ah, nice. Yeah. I mean, the country guys are great, and a lot of them are jazz players, and Western swing is basically country jazz. I mean, Western swing was, what's that guy's name? Bill Willis, Bob Willis, and the Playboys. Those guys were basically imitating the New York jazz scene, but putting it to country. But you hear great songs like Roly Poly, and Roly Poly, I think it's in C minor. It's a great song to practice over because you can play country licks over it, you can play jazz licks over it, and everything works. It's beautiful music. I mean, that stuff's it's great. For me, I get like I love heavy metal. That was my first love. I always liked hard rock. More Zeppelin than say the more, I did get into Judas Priest. But I mean, after a while, you realize a lot of the stuff they're playing, it's just really about the vibe. But it's either minor or major. There's nothing like earth shattering about it. I mean, it's great music and it gets you pumped, and there's something to that. But there's also something, I like everything. So I try to listen to everything. Um, and you get to listen to music. And a lot of times when I smoke cigars, I'm listening to Cuban music because I like that sound, especially on a hot day. It makes me feel like I'm in a Spanish speaking country. And the music is interesting, and it's some of it's simple and some of it's very complicated, but it's all good. It's all good. But a lot of people ask me about like Johnny Cash. Like, I love Johnny Cash, the actor. As far as Johnny Cash, the musician, I'm not crazy about it. It's more Americana and not so much country. I like the real country guys. The more country sounding, the better. So I like George Jones, Lefty Frizzell. Um, what's that guy's name? Don Gibson. I like that old country, and I like a lot of the '80s stuff. I like what's the guy who did neo country there in the '80s? Suppose I call you up tonight. Why am I blanking on his name? Randy Travis. I love Randy Travis. I think that music is fucking beautiful. Forever and ever, amen. Beautiful song, beautiful playing. Those guitar players, and there's a guitar player, and I'm sorry, somebody tell me his name because I'm blanking on it right now. He used to play with Steve Wariner. He played on a million records, but he's the guy who plays on Drift Away by Dobie Gillis. No, Dobie Gray. Who the fuck did that? Dobie Gray. Dobie Gillis is the show. Dobie Gray. Somebody look up and tell me what that guy's name is. Who played the guitar on Drift Away? Just that opening, down, 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 fucking gold. And people don't know his name. And in fact, I can't believe I'm blanking on it, but I'm on the spot and I can't think of it. Somebody tell me his name. Who played the guitar on Drift Away? That guy's on a million country records. He's a genius. And it's a crime nobody knows his name. And when I say that, I mean because he's not in the people don't say his name when they talk about great players. The same way when we talk about bass, and I see things about bass, and it's like Billy Gibbons. Oh wait, somebody says it. Maynard G. Krebs. That's it. Yeah, that's Dobie Gillis. Who played on Dobie Gray's Drift Away? Dobie Gillis. Maynard Krebs, wasn't that Bob Depp? Reggie Young. Thank you very much. Reggie Young is a fucking monster. A monster. On everything. That guy's a monster. There's a great Steve Wariner story where he's talking about Reggie Young in the studio. And they said to Reggie, they're like, yeah, can you change the tone a little bit? He goes, yeah, give me. I guess he had a whole rack of gear. and he just plugged into like a Fender amp and just started playing it clean and did the solo. And Steve was like, "That's the greatest guitar tone I've ever heard. What are you using?" And he's like, it's basically I'm plugged directly into the amp." It's really funny. But Reggie Young was awesome. Another guy, when I see like people post these things, who do you think the best bass player is? And it's like Geddy Lee, Flea. It's like, are you guys fucking kidding me? Ronnie Baker has played on more fucking hits on the Philly soul shit. Just listen to the bass line on Bad Luck by Hermit. Um, what's that? What's his name? Melvin and the Blue Notes. Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. Listen to Bad Luck, that bass line on Bad Luck. Ronnie Baker did the bass on Disco Inferno. He's on all the Spinners hits. The guy's a monster. He's as fucking great as Jameson. And people don't know his name. People never heard his name before. I say he's just as good as Jameson. He's up there and being as iconic on so many hit songs that we all grew up on. And they're not easy bass lines. Nobody knows his name. Crazy to me. Awesome. Yeah, Reggie Young, there's an interview. I think that guy Zach does an interview with Reggie Young. It's worth a watch. He's great. No, Bad Luck by Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. Wow. And fucking Teddy Pendergrass comes in and sings. Teddy's one of my all-time favorites. One of my favorites. Oh yeah, you can't play fucking ready. You can't air bass. You can't air bass any Ronnie Baker stuff without making stank face. A monster. A monster. Unknown. People don't know who he is. He's the best bass player. Flea just fucking slaps as fast and as hard as he can, trying to do like fucking a less musical version of fucking Louis Johnson. You want to hear real slapping? Listen to Louis Johnson. Listen to Norwood Fisher and Fishbone. That guy, musical slaps. Flea, to me, it's just like a noisemaker. Yeah, he can slap and he has the percussive down, but he grew up on all those guys, but not very musical. Ronnie Baker, that's music. That guy's on this is our fork in the road. Listen to that fucking savvy bass line he plays on. Whenever you call me, I'll be there. A monster. Ronnie Baker's a monster. Is the best bass player Chris Squire? It's like it's Cream Magazine, 1976 all over again. And don't get me wrong, I think Geddy Lee's a great bass player. But it's a little different than when you got a guy who's playing the pocket, playing hit songs, and he's just in the fucking pocket. Geddy wrote those songs. Geddy's playing those songs and practicing and rehearsing those songs. These fuckers go in the studio and have to read a chart and play those lines over the chart that they come up with that minute to get the fucking record out. And that's like why Jameson, people can sit there and say, Jameson was pretty good. Pretty good. That guy's ain't nothing like the real thing, baby. That guy sat down and played that fucking just going through the take. The chart doesn't have that line. He's just playing over those chords, and he's playing the most fucking ridiculous, gorgeous bass lines that are iconic. And that not only are fucking difficult to master and play, but he played it on the top of his head, and we're listening to it for the rest of our lives as it's like it's fucking gold. And it is gold. Yeah, those are great bass players. Like I said, it's in a different league because, again, those guys in bands, they practice those songs, they work out those parts, and they're good players. I mean, do they play in the pocket like these guys? No. They're good. I love Geezer. And don't get me wrong, I love Sabbath. I mean, I grew up on Sabbath. I love all that stuff. But in fact, I think what Giza does on the Heaven and Hell album, he's so busy on that record, and he's in the pocket playing it fucking great. It's just not this. It's not like I said. Listen to Bad Luck. Listen to Bad Luck and fucking pick up a bass and try to play it. You'll see, like, it is like, what the fuck? It's deceivingly difficult. And when I say deceivingly difficult, it sounds a lot easier than it is. It's deceivingly easy, I should say. You think it's easy, but when you start to play it, it's like, oh, wait a second. There's a lot of couple of fucking quick little triplets in there, and a couple. It's no joke. Yeah, I mean, I loved Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes because you had the MFSB musicians playing all the instruments and fucking Teddy Pendergrass singing. What's there not to like? Teddy's the fucking man. That guy's awesome. Awesome. Well, I love Bad Luck. But just everything the guy's done is great. Just great stuff. Mm-hmm. Yep. Guy, very good. You guys eat?
Yeah, I
Uh,
brought over 2 steaks.
okay, good. For tomorrow or today?
We had one today and one tomorrow.
Oh, good.
They're little.
Good. Bad luck. I like 100,000 Years. It's a great song. I like their first album the best. Another great bass player, Verdine White from Earth, Wind and Fire, monster bass player. Louis Johnson, monster bass player. Marcus Miller, monster bass player. Anthony Jackson, monster bass player. I love Lee Sklar, great player. These guys just go in and fucking nail it. Chuck Rainey, oh, so fucking good. When I worked at West LA Music, Chuck Rainey came in and said to me he wanted to know if I would do a gig with him because somebody recommended me to him. And I said to him, I go, honestly, Chuck, shit's above my pay grade. That's like real jazz. And the guy you need, and I recommended this guy Reggie to him, and he actually took the gig. Reggie took the gig. But it was like that. It was beyond what I would be able to do justice on. But Chuck's a great fucking guy, super nice guy. Marcus Miller, the best. Super great guy. Great fucking player. Bad luck. What is this? I'll get rid of this. Anyway, it's a beautiful day. Beautiful weather today. What time is it? Anyone know the time? I also want to thank everyone for hitting the like button. Steve Harris is good. Whistle's good. 3:08. All right. Well, then when I'm done with this cigar, I'm going to do stop the show and go cook. All right, again, I want to thank everyone for hitting the thumbs up button, the like button. Thank you. Now Moses is out in his yard, or they're all out front. I saw Jerry that comes on my DL show. Jerry came out to the gig last night. It was good to see Jerry. He looks fantastic. He's down to like 183 pounds. Looks great. He started carnivore shortly after I did. Hey, Hugh, what's happening? Hugh, how much are you down now? Yeah, check it out. Like I said, 30 days, give it a try, see how you feel. The trick to it is high fat, high saturated fat. That's the trick. MVP, welcome. 35 pounds. Congratulations, man. That's awesome. What's your goal? Do you have a goal set for weight or? Wow, that's great. Congratulations. Yeah, salt. Salt, salt, and more salt. Chuck, good to see you, man. I'm smoking a Cedrus. Good cigar. Southern Draw. If it was like this tomorrow, which I think it's going to be cooler, I would say, Chuck, come on up tomorrow. It'll be good to see you. Or maybe we'll head down to the Ash for a bit. Yeah. Birds are chirping. What is that? Yeah, it is the best cigar they have in their line. I agree with that. Somebody was messaging me yesterday about some Connecticut's. They usually smoke the Perdomo champagne. For Connecticut's, I tell you, I like the Henry Clay Warhawk. I really like the Charter Oak Nicaraguan Connecticut. And as Chuck can attest, the porcelain from Blackworks is fantastic. That's a real special Connecticut. That's really nice. Real easy to smoke. Connecticut's one of those cigars where they're a little bit bitter, so you have to do it with a coffee, which I like to do on the weekends. Saturday and Sunday, I do my first cigar with a coffee, so I do a Connecticut. Otherwise, I don't really enjoy too many Connecticut's outside of that. I like that anytime. Oh, excellent. Yeah, every week. We have a great crowd there. It's a lot of fun. There's great food there. They used to feed us, but now I'm doing OMAD, so I eat before I go. Nice. Chuck, did you go to the Ash today? Thank you very much. Have a great one. Chuck, one of these days when you come up, if you come up, we can go, like, because I like to smoke in my driveway, we can do a live here with you. Maybe get Jerry over here. That'd be nice. Maybe Krell. Oh, you have your niece's graduation. All right. At 5. Yeah, this is the time, right? People graduate. Beautiful day for it, though, Chuck. You're lucky. Not too hot. I mean, it's hot in the sun, but now I'm in the shade. Yeah, we'd have a lot of fun for sure. Made in the Shade. It's a great Stones compilation record. Bow do dow do do dow do do dow do bow bow. That's a great Stones compilation. I posted a thing about what do you think the best debut album is, and I put out 4 records. I was actually surprised that more people didn't pick the Pretenders' first album. Uh, but I guess the Cars record, people really, I mean, but that Pretenders album's fucking great. The Police album's great. Outlandos D'Amour, the Cars first record. What was the other? There was one other I put. I almost put Elvis Costello, This Year's Model, because it's technically his first album with the Attractions. Oh yeah, The Knack. Yeah, I'm surprised that got as much. I know people love that album. I always liked that. I thought there was 3 or 4 songs on that album that was outstanding. Obviously, My Sharona. She's So Selfish is great. Good Girls Don't is great. The playing on My Sharona is fantastic. I love that breakdown solo. But that Pretenders first album's fantastic. Yeah, Boston's first album's really great. Um, my problem with it is I'm sick of it over time. And if I was going to put Boston's first album I'm getting into a little bit more of a harder rock sound, and then I would put it up against Van Halen's first album. Um, I almost put Devo's first album in there, Are We Not Men? I really love that record. Um, Foreigner's first album was great, although I like Double Vision better. And even, I'm not saying that by any stretch that I'm thinking that the albums that I put, even though they're unbelievable debut albums, I don't think, other than the Pretenders and the Knack, I don't think the Police's best album is Outlandos. I think Ghost in the Machine I like better. And the Cars album, I don't know. There are days when I think Candio or Panorama is better. The first three albums of the Cars would just depend on my mood, which one I think is better. It's whatever I'm in the mood to listen to, because I love Panorama. Yeah, Candio's up there. And Zeppelin 1's a fantastic album. I do not in any stretch think it's their best record, although I know Chuck does. Oh, that was Chuck that said Zeppelin 1. Chuck, you love Zeppelin 1. It's a great album. I think 2 was a better album. Um, Physical to me is the album for them where I could listen to if someone said to me you got one album to listen to and you can't listen to a double album, I'll take disc 2 of Physical Graffiti, side 3 and 4. That to me is from In the Light to Sick Again. I could listen to that for the rest of my life only and be happy with it. Physical ridiculous. Sabbath's first album is unbelievable. Underrated album, Sabbath's first album. Sabbath's first album's underrated only because Paranoid was so good that people dismiss the first album because Paranoid is such the fucking home run out of the park grand slam. But that first album is definitely a home run. Queen 2 is a phenomenal, underrated record. Underrated. It used to be my favorite. I think I like Sheer Heart Attack better. Sheer Heart Attack for me brings a little bit more of the Queen sound in, but I still think it's like a continuation of 2. Wicked World, NIB, Black Sabbath, The Wizard. I love their cover of the Ainsley Dunbar tune, The Warning. Yeah. Like for me, I think Sabbath's first album is a home run out of the park. I think Paranoid's a home run grand slam. I think the third album, Astral Reality, is an off-the-wall double. Not as good. And then I think they hit it out of the park again on Volume 4 and again on Sabbath Bloody. And then I would say another off-the-wall double for Sabotage. And then after that, the next two albums, Technical Ecstasy and Never Say Die, I would say are not so good. Aerosmith featuring Dream On is a great album from Aerosmith. A lot of blues stuff, Write Me a Letter, Walking the Dog, but Moving Out's great. One Way Street's phenomenal. What else is on that record? Dream On, Make It. Oh, Somebody's outstanding. That's a great song. I don't think that album did very well until '76 when they re-released it. I'll do a poll on iconic albums like Zeppelin 4. I should say iconic albums of '71. I take Rocks over Toys in the Attic. I like Rocks better. I like Licking a Promise, Home Tonight, Nobody's Fault, Combination, Back in the Saddle, Kings and Queens. Kings and Queens is not on that album. Not Kings and Queens. What's the other big one? Last Child. I take Rocks. I do like Toys in the Attic. I don't love Toys in the Attic. You See Me Crying's great. Rounds and Rounds, great. I don't like what's the one? Back when Cain was able, way before the stable. Da, 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 da. What's that one called? That one I'm not crazy about. I don't really care much for Adam's Apple. Or is that Adam's Apple? Woman of the that's the I'm sorry, that's on the second album. What else is on Toys? Oh, what's the one? No More, No More is fantastic on Toys. Animals or Final Cut? I take Animals over the Final Cut, but I think the Final Cut is greatly underappreciated. Greatly underappreciated. I think, and here's the thing about the Final Cut. I think it's Waters at his best and Gilmour at his best as individuals. Gilmour as a player, Waters as a writer. However, I think Animals, the combination of when the two of them work together and put those songs together, Animals is just, you got basically 4 songs. One of them just, it's like the short intro and outro, but you've got Dogs, Pigs, and Sheep. And those 3 songs are fucking monsters. Just monsters. I mean, just Dogs alone to me is like, I think Wish You Were Here is a great album too. That Shining You Crazy Diamond it's fucking great. And then you've just got like 3 songs left, right? Have a Cigar, Welcome to the Machine, and Wish You Were Here. But it's a great record. Great record. Yeah, Floyd was on their game in the 70s, that's for sure. It's funny, there's a lot of records I remember when they came out, they weren't loved as much that I think are great. Like the Stones' Emotional Rescue, I think is a fucking fantastic album. And it could be one of their best albums. But when it came out, I remember people were so disappointed with the title track. And when you go back and listen to it, everything on it's great. Everything on it's great. Left Overture, A Point of No Return. Left Overture. I take Left Overture over Point. Point of No Return is good. I tend to think of it more as a poppier record, whereas Left Overture is way more still a progressive record. To me, the argument would be Left Overture or Song for America, which album's better. That to me is more a tighter race because they're both fucking phenomenal. British Steel, A Screamer for Vengeance, Peace of Mind, and Number of the Beast. So let me just take the Iron Maiden one first. For me, Peace of Mind, I liked better, even though I hate Quest for Fire. I think there isn't a bad song on Number of the Beast. I just think that the record is, it's an album of 8s with maybe 110, and Peace of Mind is a better album with one bad song, Quest for Fire. So I'll take Peace of Mind. Screamin' versus British Steel would be whatever mood I'm in. More times than not, my favorites are on British Steel. Rapid Fire, Steeler, You Don't Have to Be Old to Be Wise, The Rage. Those 3 or 4 songs are undeniable. Screaming is just a great record all the way through. But there is some parts of it I don't like. The tone of the album is a little chorused out for me. And over time, it's dropped down a notch. Probably when Screaming came out, Screaming was probably my favorite for the longest time. I think British Steel has edged it out for me. Country side one is flawless. Side two is, side one is a 10. Side two is like an 8 or a 7. Maybe a 7 or 6. Yeah, you guys love your UFO, Strangers in the Night. I prefer Obsession for UFO. I'd rather listen to just the album Obsession. Um, for live albums, I really like Unleashed in the East from Judas Priest. Unleashed in the East by Judas Priest is like a greatest hits of songs of those songs. Kind of like Kiss Alive 2 is for me, because Kiss Alive 2 is like the best of the second 3 albums, but better versions of the songs. They're a little hokey on Destroyer, Rock and Roll Over, Love Gun. On Alive 2, they sound better. Better versions, I think. Whereas Kiss Alive, it sounds fantastic, but I have a special love for the first album. And the stuff on, uh, the first 3 albums, I think Kiss Alive missed some of the best songs. Strange Ways is a great song they didn't do on Alive. Love Her All I Can on Dressed to Kill. I think Kiss made a mistake because I think they should have done 5 more tunes and put out the side 4 of Kiss Alive 2 with 5 new tunes and called it a new album. That would have been great. But having on the back of Kiss Alive 2, where they missed a lot of songs on Kiss Alive 2, yeah, like I said, Love Her All I Can is my favorite Kiss song of all time. And that's on Dress to Kill. There's just a couple of songs like Room Service I just find as a little sissy-ish. I've done a lot of listening to the Allman Brothers live at the Fillmore because a student of mine is in an Allman Brothers band, and we go over a lot of those songs. It's a great record. I don't love it because I feel, it's a jam band, and um, I don't know. I don't love it. Yeah, I guess like for me, Allman Brothers, like I like songs like "Ain't Wasting Time No More." It's a great tune. I like their live version of "Outskirts of Town," which um, I don't know. I kind of felt they left some stuff off of Fillmore. The police have driven by here like 3 times. I wonder what's up. Yeah, Doobie Brothers' first album is very good. Very good. I like a lot of the earlier Doobie Brother records. Although Minute by Minute's probably my favorite because I like more of that LA studio sound. That's more my thing. Yeah, I think it would have been better as a 3 album set. I think they left off some stuff that could have been really great that they did at Fillmore but didn't have, didn't put it on the albums. I don't know why. Is it Outskirts of Town? They used to do Outskirts of Town live, but when they got to, I think it's Brothers and Sisters, they just they did Jelly Jelly, and they used the exact same. Basically, they just played Outskirts of Town to Jelly Jelly, and it's way better as Outskirts of Town than it is Jelly Jelly, in my opinion. But they're the same song. I mean, they're two different blues songs, but they just use their own thing to it. And we were talking once about Stormy Monday, and somebody said, I think it was Dane in the show, said Stormy Monday, the original version, didn't have all those changes, and the Allman Brothers came up with all those changes. And that's not true. The original version did not have those changes. But in 62, I think it was Bobby Blue Bland. Bobby Blue Bland did Stormy Monday, and his version of Stormy Monday is really close to the version that the Allman Brothers did. So they're doing Bobby Blue's version. There's some stuff that they do from the original, but they're really just, I mean, that's not their arrangement. That's Bobby Blue Bland's. And one thing I don't like about that song on Fillmore is the bass player plays an E flat over the C minor 7. Technically, I think it should be an A flat. That chord should be an A flat major 7, which would be a C minor with an A flat in the bass, not a C minor with an E flat in the bass, because then it implies an E flat 6, and that's not the right chord. Just my opinion. So all I'm giving is my opinion. If you play it and you play an A flat in the bass over that C minor, it sounds much nicer. And musically, it makes sense. Brilliant Trees. I'm a huge fan of David Sylvian, Gone to Earth. Yeah, I'm not a huge Duane fan. I think Dickie gets really, really underplayed as to what he did in the band. And I think Dickie's playing is just as good as Duane, if not better. And I do think Dickie's a better player than Duane. Duane gets all the credit because Duane died in a motorcycle accident. He played the slide. And I've even heard some people tell me that, I hear people tell me that Dickie's the best slide player. And I'm like, are we mental? Like, first of all, Ry Cooder's a much better slide player. You could listen to players like Jerry Douglas, who plays slide dobro, who's probably the greatest slide player that ever lived. And I think Duane was very good. I just think he's completely overblown, overrated because of his situation. It's almost like the Hendrix thing, It's like, oh, what would Hendrix have done if he was still alive? Well, what did Van Halen do? He lived. What did he do? Do you think the Van Hagar stuff is mind-blowing over the other stuff? No, they kind of settle into what they do. That's what they do. It's really interesting. Can we think of any players who improved over time so much that it's changed, that you look at the younger playing and you're like, oh my God, they improved so much. I'm not saying that it didn't happen, but I'm saying, who would that be? Because it's really rare. It's like most of these guys, like, for instance, I think Michael Schenker was better in the Michael Schenker group than he was in UFO. Oh, see, you think he played Hagar songs. I don't. I think Eddie wrote those songs. Hagar came in and made them songs with the melodies. But that was what Eddie wanted to do. I totally feel that was what Eddie wanted to do. You might be right with Iommi. Iommi definitely improved in the '80s. Those first two albums, uh, Heaven and Hell and Mob Rules, are fantastic. Now I know Joe is a big fan of the Born Again album, but the guitar tone on that album and both the playing, I feel, are just not as good. Not as good. It's interesting. But like so many people say this. So like when Dwayne passed, and everyone's like, "Oh, Dwayne, 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 Dwayne." Listen to Brothers and Sisters, fucking Dickie, and then who was he having there? Les Dudek, fucking killing it, killing it. Is that the guitar this whole time? What was that from, Joe? I don't even know what I was just talking. Oh, well, I don't know. It's got a lot more distortion on. It's kind of like Angus Young on Flick of the Switch. It still sounds like AC/DC. When you get to Fly on the Wall, you can hear something that the amp has way more drive. Oh yeah, same cigar. Yeah, it is. This is still the Cedrus by yeah. Oh yeah, Asia's awesome. As much as I love Asia, I sometimes bounce and think the Royal Scam is also a fantastic album, and I will go back and forth as to which one I like better. Um, Favorite albums of all time, I could easily say Physical Graffiti by Led Zeppelin and the Blue Nile Hats, but definitely the 1 and 2 place where I think maybe the Blue Nile Hats could be number one. Save the. Who else improved over time? I don't think Eddie did. I think Eddie's best stuff is on his first 4 albums. I was telling my friend in the gym the other day, we were talking about Van Halen, and I was saying that I think Little Guitars is basically Eddie just playing the Won't Get Fooled Again riff, and they made a song out of it. But it sounds like how he plays Won't Get Fooled Again. You can go on YouTube and watch him playing Won't Get Fooled Again with Sammy singing it in 5150 and the studio. And it's very similar, the riff, to what he plays on Little Guitars. I don't think Kirk Hammett got better. No, I don't think so. Yeah, Vi took from Satriani too. I mean, who somebody studies with, I don't think really matters. Uh, there's no way Kirk Hammett was ever going to be Steve Vai. Just like, in my opinion, when Neil Peart started taking lessons from that drum teacher that taught Vinnie Colaiuta, there's no way Neil's ever going to be Vinnie. In fact, I thought Neil's playing got worse. But that's just me. I know that'll upset a lot of people. He's the greatest. He isn't. He was good. He was very good. He was great. The greatest? No. No, 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 no. As Chuck will tell you, Carl Palmer's a very underrated drummer who's fantastic. I think Bill Bruford's a phenomenal drummer who is fantastic. Yeah, I'd agree with that. Most bands don't have more than that. You know, the Stones definitely broke that mold because the Stones were great in the 60s. They weren't my favorite in the 60s, but they were a great band in the 60s. They were a much better band in the 70s, and they were still a very good band in the 80s. They were a great band in the 90s. I saw them in 2006. They were phenomenal. I saw them twice that year. They were phenomenal. And I'm not a big Stones fan, but that band was great over a long period of time. I mean, you could listen to the Stones' first album and then go listen to Voodoo Lounge, and there's like a 30-year difference, 26 years, 28 years, somewhere around there. And they're both great records. Great. The Kinks really never got a lot of love in the States. In the Northeast here, they got more love than I'd say in the rest of the country in the United States, but they didn't get a lot of love here. There's a lot of players that I think in Europe were very popular that didn't get the love here. One of them being obviously Paul Weller. I think Weller's great. And his playing, his songs, through all the different things that he went through, were all very good. I like his solo career too. Yeah, Small Faces. Well, yeah, there was a lot of bands that were big in Europe that didn't really make it here or have the same impact here, and vice versa, clearly. I don't think Van Halen had the big impact that they were having in the United States, in Europe, well, in England so much. You know, you can look at what was going on in the 80s then there. And likewise, I don't think Johnny Marr had a big impact on people playing here so much as it did for me or people in England. Yeah, Well is great. Well is awesome. It's funny, if you listen to the collective works of the Cocteau Twins, of the Blue Nile, and Simple Minds, and you think that the Simple Minds had the biggest success in the United States, that tells you that the radio in the United States sucks. Sucks. Early Simple Minds I thought was really great, but I mean, just the pop shit I just thought was like nothing fantastic. Whereas Cocteau Twins, every album I love. Garland's, the very first album, I think is a little dark sounding. Oh, the Simple Minds were the biggest there too? Alive and kicking. I liked when they did Promised You a Miracle. That was a cool song. I think The Cure Disintegration might be in my top five of all time, Hugh. I think that album is unbelievable. I'd agree with that. That's their third album. Treasure's like out of the park. Home run, grand slam. First album was eh, okay. The second album was good, and Treasure was a monster. After Treasure, what was there? Does it go Treasure right into Victoria Land? Victoria Land was very good, but it's a sleepy album. I listen to it to go to bed. It's a great album to sleep to. And then after that, you've got Bluebell Knoll, another hit out of the park, Grand Slam. Heaven of Las Vegas, out of the park, Grand Slam. Four Calendar Cafe, out of the park, Grand Slam. And Milk and Honey, Milk and Kisses, the last album, is a triple. Eurovision Song Contest. Oh. Alive and Kick. I don't know the piano break off the top of my head. A couple of really big hits around that time. Oh, Sickle Buff's great. It's basically the Sundays kind of ripped it with Here's Where the Story Ends, that melody from Sickle Buff. Ba, ba, ba. Down and down and down and down. Oh, that's a great tune, Hugh. Oh, beautiful. I love that one. I love Ella Megalast, Burls Forever is a great tune, and a Kissed Out Red Float Boat. Those are my top three from that album. Although I do think Heaven of Las Vegas is a better album. I think Heaven of Las Vegas is their best. Yes, Rich. Yeah, beautiful out. What else is on that album? Bluebell Knoll, Carolyn's Fingers. It's a great album, Hugh. But don't you think Sickle Buff is a little bit like Heaven of Las Vegas is the greatest. Fox Politic, Wolf in the Breast. Oh, that album's so good. Cherry Colored Funk, 50-50 Clown. But don't you think that Sunday song, Here's Where the Story Ends, it's that, that reminds me of Sickle Buff every time I hear it. And don't get me wrong, I love the Sundays. Yeah, it's that same melody. Ba, ba, da. Yeah, Sickle Buff's one of my favorite songs by them. Treasure has some great songs, though. If you like the early sound of Cocteau Twins, Treasure's like. And I don't know if this album was released in the UK, but the Pink Opaque, which was like a mix of singles and early songs, the Pink Opaque is a great album. But it's a compilation. Are you familiar with that album? Yeah, totally, Hugh. I agree. I love the song Summertime. You and me in the summertime. Great song. Very cool production. Great arrangement. I mean, the whole Sinead thing that she does in Mandinka is like right out of Pearly Dewdrops Drops from Cocteau Twins. Nice, Joe. Nice. Yeah, I'm gonna cook in just a few minutes. I'm getting down to the nub here. I gotta go. I'm gonna make some bacon. I got a steak, and bacon, a steak, and I don't know what else I'll have. I'll have something else, and a piece of the carnivore cheesecake that I made. And that'll be it until I eat again tomorrow. Oh, is Lorelei the one that goes ba da da ba da 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 da? Is that Lorelei? Am I thinking of the right song, Hugh? Ba da 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 da. Yeah, okay, that's a great one too. Yeah, I love Lorelei's on Treasure, isn't it not? Is it not? Isn't that Treasure? I love Pandora on that song, on that album. Pandora's fantastic. Evo's great. I thought Evo was track one. I thought Lorelei is like a later track. No, Evo's definitely the first track. People, da da ba 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 da. Am I nuts? Hugh, am I not right or am I wrong? Evo's the first track on that album. Evo, Ivo, whatever, however you pronounce it. Oh, maybe. Yeah, I think here it's Evo or Ivo, however you pronounce it. Is it Evo? I think it's Evo because that's what she says in the song. That was for the guy who owned 4AD. Hey, Jan. Hugh, do you remember a band called Ultra Vivid Scene? I can't remember if they were 4AD or not, but Ultra Vivid Scene was a good band in the late 80s, early 90s. A Padron and Scotch. Nice. Which Padron is it? Hugh says no, and I forgot what question I asked him. Oh, the 64 Padron. Nice. That's a nice one. Hey, Jan, I'm glad you dug that lesson on You Belong to Me. What a fucking chord nightmare that song is. That took me a while to fucking figure out some of those chords because I was like, what the hell is this chord? I had to break it down by listening to it over and over again, picking out every note that I hear because they were not chords that I was familiar with that I would play, like that D diminished 7 flat 9. That chord took me a while because I'm like, this thing, I'm hearing this note, this note, this note. I made it too complicated. I thought I made it as easy as I could. I wanted to get the essence of the chords. So I wanted to make sure I got what I was hearing. Give me a time check, somebody. Tell me what time it is. Yeah, he's playing all those chord clusters on a Rhodes, and that gets tough to break apart what I'm hearing because there's a little warble to it as well. And then I'm like, Well, here I'm hearing two notes on top of one another. So it was like, especially that F minor, that first chord when it goes bo do do do. That F minor 9 with the add 13. I was like, what the fuck? I'm smoking you on the Cedrus by Southern Draw. It's almost getting to the point where it's going to be too hot to smoke in a few seconds or a few minutes. $3.57. All right, thanks. I already did that, Jan. Jan, I already have that on my channel. I did that, and I did it in combination with, I did 2 lessons in one with that one. I did What You Won't Do for Love by Bobby Caldwell, and Just the Two of Us. Similar vibes to me, so I wanted to teach them both at once, but they're both on I already did a lesson on it. It's actually harder than you think, because everyone that plays it or shows everything as a 7 sharp 9, and there's plenty of 7 flat 9s in there that people aren't playing that I teach in it, that I hear. So check that one out. Yeah. All right, everyone. Well, thanks for hanging out with me. This is now to the end. And I want to appreciate everyone that came here. Hit a thumbs up if you can. If you already did, thank you. And I'll see everybody Wednesday night. All right. Is there a Dr. Evil Mini-Me version of that? Just the two of us? That I don't know. All right, everyone. Have a great day. I got to cook myself some food. And then, Take the Weight Off Your Shoulders, Gino Vanelli. I did a few Gino songs. Wheels of Life. Did I do Wheels of Life? Crazy Life. Crazy. Yeah. I definitely did Crazy Life. I think I did Wheels of Life. Anyways, let's see. Whoop. All right. I want to thank everyone for hanging out with me. And I will see you guys all on the Flism Flasm. And as always, very good.